Hi, I'm Neil Hansen. I'm the owner of Fitness Works Health and Wellness here in Clarendon Hills. I'm also the head MAT specialist, or muscle activations technique specialist, and I do specialize in something called MAT-RX. There's about 80 of us right now certified. It's a full-bodied restoration process of the MAT technique itself, and I'm also a certified life coach, which means I help people, work with their stresses and their thought process, as well as an exercise specialist. I wanted to take a minute to tell you a little bit about what we do here. I think most people just think we're a gym, and then we just work people out, but we're a lot more than that. So I thought I would take a few minutes here to just kind of share a little bit of the insights and how we look at the human body, and we look at how people come to us, why they come to us, and what we can do to help them. So let's talk first about who comes to us. The average client of ours comes to us. Of course, everybody wants to lose a few pounds. I don't think we have a client who wouldn't love a little bit better looking body, but our clients are more concerned about how they feel in their body. Not just look, of course, but how their body moves and tolerates stresses. There's nothing worse as we get older than feeling like we're actually getting older. I'd say almost every one of our clients comes in with aches and pains. So we want to use exercise as a modality to potentially change that and get them stronger. But before we do that, we have to understand what's appropriate for them. So whether we're trying to lose weight or help somebody get stronger or play a sport, we work with athletes, of course, who come in with injuries. But we have to take into consideration as we do anything, we have to know what the body can tolerate first. Because you see, exercise is stress. Whenever you're using exercise, whether it's Pilates, yoga, resistance training, cardio, you're playing tennis, whatever recreational things you're doing, golf, you're doing something that's potentially supposed to be good for you, but you very well might be exceeding your body's tolerance for that stress, and it can become a distress. So we call it a eustress when it's positive, when it's appropriate, and we call it a distress when it's exceeded your body's ability to tolerate stress. So before we prescribe any exercise, we have to look at how the body is tolerating stress. And we actually think of it as medicine. So just like any medicine that you take, whether it's an herb, a plant, or something that's prescribed to you, the hope is that when you take that into, it's actually going to create a better health effect for you. So exercise is the exact same way. So the question is, what's the appropriate medicine? And we can look at medicine as like, cardio, resistance training, isometric training, Pilates, yoga, whatever it might be. What's the appropriate medicine? And then what's the appropriate dosage for what your body can tolerate? Because I guarantee most people are pretty much doing the same things that their friends are doing, or most trainers are probably creating the exact same program for you as they are for the person who came before you or next to you if you're in a group setting. Nothing wrong with that. The question is, are you really getting something that's specific to what your body can tolerate? So we look at the way that the body is exactly where it should be relative to the stress that it's getting, whether it's pain, sickness, or body fat. Your body is exactly where it's supposed to be relative to the stress that's coming in. The different avenues of stress are creating an environment that your body is reacting to. So it's perfect. The question is, why is it doing that? So rather than just using exercise as our only modality of change, and the reason why we use exercise as our modality of change is because your body is adapting to that stress in a way, or at least we hope it does, that it matches what we want for our body. So if we want to get stronger, then we have to implement a stress that's going to create that as a response. If we want to get leaner, we have to create a stress that's going to cause your body then to adapt in that way. But what we don't know is whether or not, again, if that's a eustress or a distress. So if we're providing you with just random stress, we very well might exceed your body's threshold and then create a overstressed response. And that overstressed response actually releases cortisol. It's a hormone. It's released as the end result of stress. And that hormone then releases blood sugar from your muscle and your liver. So it's used for your fight or flight. So, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing, but when it's in excess, if you're walking around achy with pain, you're potentially creating a lot of physiological stress that's releasing that cortisol. And emotional stress can do that. And same thing with biochemical stress or nutrition, eating things that aren't great for our body. So, when we're looking at how our ancestors changed, think of this from a survival mechanism. So some of the stresses weren't necessarily bad, because if their body was under a great deal of physiological stress where they were under attack, the body would actually want to get lean to reduce its body fat so it's faster and stronger, and it's a better survivor that way. So what we're actually doing with exercise is actually trying to create that that adaptation relative to those kind of stress. We're actually trying to replicate some of the same exact stresses our ancestors did that caused them to adapt in a survival way. So, or in some cases, we're just trying to reverse some of the damage that we've done with repetitive stress and trauma and those other things that have affected our body over years. And then we have to look at, why does our body store body fat? And it does that because, or at least from our ancestral history of things and the way that our survival mechanisms are set up, it's to help you fend off famine, starvation, and cold. So, but we're not in those situations anymore. So we have to have other things that are causing our body then to want to store body fat. As I said, your body is exactly where it's supposed to be relative to the information, the stress that it's getting. So as your stress goes up, your body fat goes up. Because your brain thinks, or it's tricked into thinking, that it needs to store body fat in order to survive. So the different stresses, emotional stress, physical stress, biochemical stress, can trick the brain into thinking that it's actually starving, triggering the same survival signals as starvation does. And there's also another thing, that when we have a lot of cortisol, there's actually a blocking mechanism in place there that stops us from your brain from seeing how much body fat your body has. There's actually a hormone that's released when you have when you have body fat. Your body fat releases this hormone. Your brain's aware of that body fat, but when we have high levels of cortisol, our brain doesn't acknowledge that as well. So your body may think it doesn't have enough body fat. So what it does, it increases your hunger level. So either you're eating more and gaining more body fat to match what your body thinks it needs as far as survival wise, or your body's reducing if you don't eat more, then it reduces your muscle to make sure you have you're taking away muscle, so you don't need as much energy and you can store more body fat. So then it stores the things that you do eat as body fat. So there's a lot of different things in place here. So exercise isn't the perfect answer. So the question is, how much stress here is causing you to be fat? How much stress are we trying to do to trump that signal? So if we could bring these stresses down, we have a greater chance of helping your body really make significant long-term changes, better than the current 7% success rate that we have for long-term change when it comes to at least reducing body fat and helping the body transform into a healthier lifestyle for long term. So we look at 3 different areas, and I won't get into the specifics of those areas too much right now, but we look at the physiological aspect. How does your body tolerate stress through muscle activation techniques? That allows us to see where your body is protecting you from motions that you can't control. So any instability in your body can cause your body to be malaligned, and that's caused by inhibition of muscle tissue. There's very little evidence that just general exercise will actually bring that back. And we actually have to go in and actually remap those connections, those neural connections, and we do that in MAT. It also affords us the ability to look at your body after we've done some stress to see if we've actually exceeded your body's threshold. Was our prescription of that medicine and that dosage of that medicine appropriate? Did it help you or did it hurt you? Did it make you stronger or did it make you weaker? And so we can actually check in real time to see whether or not we're actually helping you or hurting you. The other things that we look at here, of course, are the mental stresses. Not everybody wants to dive down this rabbit hole, but even if it's just understanding what your goals are, your goals, most people's goals, they know exactly what it is that they don't want, which actually causes the brain to continue looking for the very thing that you don't want. So by virtue of the conversations that we're used to having, we're focused on problems. By virtue of the way that we're just wired to focus, most people are coming in with a thought process of focus and an emotional state that's working against them. So it becomes very difficult to change if you don't know where you're going. And then, of course, we can add emotion into it to actually make it more powerful, so it's more meaningful. So, but there's a lot more that goes into that as well. And then, of course, the biochemistry. How does your body respond to the foods that it eats? If the first 2 stresses aren't dealt with, your body may be asking for foods, just like, the stress creates, the desire to eat more because the body thinks it's starving. You might be requiring certain foods, or at least have the perception that your body needs certain foods because of the survival things that are in place already. So we look at different strategies to help people regulate their blood sugar a little bit better by looking at the times they eat and what they are eating. If we want to get a little deeper, we do have outside resources where we bring people in to help with inflammation and gut health and things of that nature. So obviously we do a little bit more than just beating the heck out of you and going through the motions here. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more, feel free to visit us on our website at fitness-works.com, and Works is is spelled with an E. You can email me personally at neil@fitness-works.com. You can stop into our studio here at Clarendon Hills at 154 Burlington Avenue, right across the street from the Metro train station. Or give us a call at 630-455-1453. And if you want, I do a free consultation with clients. If you mention that you've watched this video, just let me know that, and I will give you a full hour of my time. Usually we do a half-hour consult, but I'd be willing to extend that out a little bit to give you a full test drive of what it is that we do here, and going through all different aspects of from the MAT, a little bit of the goal orienteering, as well as kind of feeling how we can manipulate exercise for your body specifically. Of course, we can't do that until we have a really big understanding, but at least get an understanding of what goes into our education and what we bring to the table. So if you're interested in anything that we do here, feel free to reach out and sign up for that free consultation, and hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.